free to pipe in anytime, guys.
No, he's doing great.
Oh, he's not.
Kasama, I believe you had a question?
Several.
I was gonna say.
Oh, do you?
You'll unleash another beast over
Oh,
here.
Well, I think, go ahead.
no.
Yeah,
It's a little break. Thanks, Shane. This is the longest question. The question's going from outside in.
No.
So, as far as the WAN connections go, what do you guys use to get out to the internet?
NAT.
No, the connection, the service.
It's
A T1 line.
T1 line.
So you have a T1 line going from,
And then we have a direct satellite connection to
Singapore.
Singapore as well.
okay, but you only use that satellite connection to go from Pico Play to Amico.
That's
So
right.
only.
Yeah.
Yes.
For everyone else to go to the internet, what do they use? You were saying T1? Is that-
T1 line.
T1 line.
Okay, and you mentioned some sort of a dial-on-demand connection as well?
Yes.
What was it all about?
For the VPN, going from Pico Play to the warehouse.
Oh, I see, okay.
We had set up the DMZ server to provide an access for outside clients to be able to come in, to be able to look at web options, to be able to access emails, things of that nature, but to prevent them via firewall to be able to get into the internal system for the Pico Play or Tomico in either direction.
Very well. And at the White House, you also have another service that you have to pay to get out to the internet as well, I guess?
I'm sorry,
At the White House, you also have,
The warehouse.
the warehouse?
Yeah, you have to pay another service to get out to the internet, separate from everything else. We're fat with cash, yeah.
okay.
You guys are loaded.
Money is no object.
Nico's doing
Well,
work.
if we were loaded, then you would have fiber going from
Dual fibers.
San Francisco to Hong Kong or Singapore.
Loaded.
We didn't set that up, though. That came from Tomico, so.
Okay.
Well, see, the satellite was only temporary. They were actually running a huge fiber optic cable around the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
In progress.
Ah.
Gotcha, okay.
Pressed in the works.
Well, that all sounds okay. Then, now, so all of your computers, besides that IBM 6500, are they all Windows?
Everything,
Yes.
XP.
Yeah.
XP and...
server.
Server 2003.
Okay. So on your VPN connection, you mentioned that you're using PPTP. Is there any reason you're not going with L2TP there?
It's just what we chose.
What advantage do you have? Do you have to keep stuff secured? Do you have any requirements of making sure things are secure in your data?
The requirements for it to keep it secure.
So what happens in that PPTP when they finally do send the data? Are you guys keeping it from, if somebody picks it up from looking at it?
Are you sure you set up?
What's up?
So if you set up L2TP, what would you get that's beyond the point-to-point tunneling protocol?
Encryption on this section.
You know, authentication headers on there, your encryption for data packets. What's the one major advantage you have with L2TP over point-to-point? Using what? Yeah, but what it's going to provide for that encryption? IPsec? IPsec off of there? All right, go ahead. Sorry.
That sounds cool. So, okay, yeah, so I was just kind of wondering whether or not why you didn't want to use L2TP without over IPsec, but that's cool. I guess maybe backward compatibility?
Yeah, legacy systems.
Okay. Then coming into the...
That's what we were thinking.
That's,
Yeah,
okay,
that's it.
that's what I was kind of thinking that you were thinking as well.
Right. You understand.
And so now at the gateway, you also have web server, mail server, and what else do you have in your DMZ?
Well, the DMZ is also a
Oh,
router.
your screen.
Screen
It's
server.
a RS server.
Yeah, RAS, RIP.
Do you also have a DNS server in there as well, or no?
Not the DMZ.
Yeah,
We set up a DNS in there.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, we did. Yes, we set up a DNS server.
So my question here is, I guess, if your DNS server is right out there on the DMZ, and so people could actually use your DNS server to resolve names, and that would, of course, perhaps bring your DNS server down to, not doing anything for you guys, really. Was there anything that you have done to prevent people from using your DNS server to resolve names out there on the internet?
Was that disabling
Using the net,
recursion?
the net.
Or the net, is that it? Recursion, disable recursion.
Very well.
I
Yeah,
just
we
get a
did
big
that.
old chuckle out of this.
Yeah, we did that.
We actually did. We got to it kind of late.
Yeah, we did. We got to it
late
late,
in the
but we did
project, but
implement
we-
Yeah, that was something,
And so that's all sounds very good. Then since you have your web server, your mail server, and all these clients and everything else on your network, as far as your DNS settings go, what are the type of records do you have for your mail server as well as your name servers? So you have A records for your host, and then
MX.
Your MX for your mails.
very well. Then coming into your network a little bit more. So all of your servers, all of your routers, you are using Windows 2003 server.
Yes.
And how many do you have?
How many routers?
How many routers do you have? Yeah.
For our setup, we only had one, but theoretically, I guess in the office, you would have had maybe three, one for each floor.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the one router actually had 3 NICs in it, so
Yes.
it's operating as 3.
You actually had one main router.
For all 3
The
floors?
warehouse was, if you're talking running RRAS, we had the warehouse was running RRAS
DMZ was running RRAS.
DMZ.
And then the internal.
and the internal router.
So we had
the office
three,
router.
three machines running RRAS.
Right. So we actually had one that we referred to as a router, but 3 that were running the routing
The whole entire
service.
network.
Since you have multiple routers, have you enabled any sort of routing protocol?
RIP.
RIP version 2.
Is there a reason why you go with RIP version 2?
It was in
Because
the
it's a
RRAS.
requirement.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. But it was given.
Yeah.
Yes.
No choices.
Okay. Would you rather use something else if you weren't restricted to that?
Once we had RIP enabled on everything, it just, everything seemed to work very, very well.
Even if your company grows, you just stay with REP version 2 the whole time?
Good. Probably, if it gets, yeah, go to open shortest path first, if it gets too big, but at this
At what
point.
point would you decide to go to OSPF?
Traffic.
I don't remember that number.
Does RIP have a limitation as how many hops it can go through? It would cause you at that point that you would need to have, because right now you got 6 subnets.
30 times.
5 or 6 hops.
15.
Well, 15.
Take your word for it.
Okay, and so now on the servers, since you have your DNS and your DHCP servers handing out IP addresses and load balancing, how do you dictate whether or not a client would grab an IP address from one server and not the other? And how do you make sure that everything is all balanced out between the multiple servers that you have? Or how do you monitor them, I guess?
It's a very good question. We'll research that and get back to you some.